All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
And we're actually going to dive right into some really interesting voicemails we've received. Cody, what's the first one?
Here we go. First caller would be, I believe, Blake from Brooklyn.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Blake. I'm living out in Brooklyn, New York. My question for you guys is, it looks like Biden or Sanders might they could end up falling out.
Yeah.
More particularly Biden. If Biden does fall out, where do you think his supporters are most likely going to go to? And do you think Andrew Yang is in a position to eat up that support and take his polling numbers? Love what you guys do. Take care.
All right, thank you very much, Blake from Brooklyn. Awesome. That's one of the best part about this show is people calling in from so many different places. So there's actually some really interesting data. We did a video about, I'd say, 2 weeks ago on who a lot of people's second choice is. Now, it was a small sample size. Cody, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you say it was about 400 people as a secondary statistic from the Emerson poll that had Andrew Yang at 8%?
No, it was a separate poll, actually. It was a poll, top of my head, I can't remember. I believe it was it was tracking on the second debate, favorability from candidates before and after the debate. And on the second end of that, when they polled people again after the debate, they only got about half of the people back. And then of that half, they asked them who their second choice would be, and that was the one graph we used before. So
yeah,
it was very, very, very niche audience.
Yeah. So basically, about less than a month ago, some data came out from a sample set of people who tuned into the second debate, in which we found some interesting statistics that Andrew Yang is most favorable as a second choice. Among one that I remember perfectly is 22% of Julian Castro voters, Cory Booker voters, and Amy Klobuchar voters. Okay. Now, we didn't really put too much stock in that data because it was a very small sample size of only about 400 people. We usually like seeing something like 1,000 to 5,000 before we start taking something seriously. The Morning Consult, for example, I believe does 5,000 person sample sizes. However, it was interesting, and it did show that right now, I've said this before, but the Wizards are tuned in. The Muggles haven't tuned in yet, so a lot of this is just plain old name recognition. So now that we're seeing, Bernie Sanders' heart attack, we're seeing Joe Biden popping his blood vessel on stage and not hearing people correctly, it's pretty much well understood that Biden is going to drop out, either statistically because he gets surpassed by Sanders and Warren, or just because, he throws in the towel and he fought the good fight, because he hasn't been able to raise as much money as Sanders and Warren, and she's considered the shadow frontrunner as she continues to climb. So it's a very good question asking where they will go. Fortunately, Morning Consult does a weekly gathering of data that can kind of shed some light on this question, Blake. Cody, can you show us what we're talking about?
Yeah, well, like I said, according to I believe the way Morning Consult runs this, just one metric, but the way they run it, I believe every day they poll 5,000 different people, take that data together, every Monday they re-release it. So this is going back now to last Monday, but as up to date as we can get. So anyway, second choice is where voters could migrate. After voters registered their first choice, they were asked to follow up about whom they would choose as a second option. The results below show what supporters for a selection of leading candidates could go next, hover over, which we'll be doing in a second. Anyway, so I believe Blake specifically asked about Joe Biden. Now, as of today, you'll notice that they have Elizabeth Warren, which eats up about 30% of that. Again, you'll notice there's no slam dunk. It's about 30% of the Biden people's second choice was Warren, 25 of Sanders, very close, 10% Kamala. The biggest thing I see from that, and the biggest thing when I talk, I would say I've spoken to people who say they support Joe Biden. I've never spoken to a Joe Biden supporter per se, because most people I speak to who want Joe Biden are mostly just people like, look, whoever wins the Democratic primary, whoever gives Democrats the best chance to win, I'm voting with that person. Like, basically the idea is like they're not Biden supporters, they're Democrat Party supporters. And like, if Biden's our guy, he's my guy. And I think we're going to see a lot of people that are that group. So if Biden fails to make it, but fine, Biden's not our guy. Warren's our girl. She's my girl now. Like, I think there's a lot of people that are just like, whoever the Democrats run out there and they put forward, I'm going to support them with. I think that's a lot of the Biden base.
The sheeps. The lemmings,
Well, I mean,
muggles.
There's people, same thing, man, who for Republicans who are like, I'll just vote for whoever the Republican is. I don't really care otherwise.
Yeah.
You see both people, so I think that's a big part of the Biden support base. People right now, they don't like love Biden, but they're like, if Biden's our guy, I guess I have to support him. So I would think it'd be really interesting if he were to drop out. Like I said, I think a lot of it would go to Warren. I'll pull up again and show you just where they are in the polls. Warren and Biden are absolutely neck and neck. Biden looks like he had a pretty good show recently in the polls, kind of helped to redistance himself again. Biden to be the green line, Warren to be the brown line. But you could see they're basically right there on top of each other. So I do think they're going to kind of fold. I could see both those fan bases or support bases kind of folding into one. Like I said, I think a majority of both is we like Democratic Party. I want the Democratic Party. Whoever they pick, I'm going to go with them.
So could you
And I
just
think that's a lot of
briefly
people.
could you just briefly scroll or hover over those numbers so we could just see the data and kind of understand where, because I mean the specific question was, where will the Biden and where will the Sanders people go as a second choice per se.
Like I said, right now it's Elizabeth Warren for Biden, and then for Warren it's Biden, and then for Sanders it's Biden. I mean,
Yeah.
right now everyone faces all the second choices that they're saying like, well, I guess I would like not the front runner, but if he wins, I'll pick the front runner. That basically, and then
Yeah.
the inverse of Biden. I guess I'll pick the front runner, and if it's not him, I'll pick the next closest front runner.
so I mean,
that's most people.
Yeah, just like Cody says, how they'll basically all blend into one. The first place is going to blend into one. We know 2 of the top 3 are going to drop, okay? Whether it's Biden and Sanders, which you pretty much suggest, there's no signs that Elizabeth Warren is going anywhere. I mean, if she hasn't been shamed away by the fact that she was caught lying for 2 decades straight about her ethnicity in order to further bad propaganda of identity politics. Like, if that hasn't shamed her away yet, she's not going anywhere.
Her plagiarized recipe in the Pow Wow Chow cookbook.
Yeah.
That's a great one. That's a great misstep. Not only did she put in her Cherokee recipe for the Pow Wow Chow cookbook, which is beyond me. She allegedly plagiarized the recipe. So yes, if
that hasn't scared her away, we know she's not going anywhere. She's that desperate for power, and you really should be afraid of somebody like this. But anyway, she's not going anywhere. And statistically, she's even stronger, okay? So really, that's not as much a concern for the Yang Gang, though. And here's the reason why. The common person has not tuned in yet. Many of our viewers watch our show every day. They follow us on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They've probably even contributed to the channel. They're insiders. They're aficionados. They're people that follow politics, okay? Dude, that's not what your average soccer mom's doing. That's not what your average working stiff is doing. That's not what probably I'd estimate 90% of the electorate is doing. 90% of the electorate is going to tune into some of the final debates once the field has gotten a little bit smaller. They're going to start asking a couple of questions here and there, their friends in the workplace. But if we're honest with ourselves, it's not until like the week of the election or the month of the election when the fervor gets big that people tune in. It is just like the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is the single most watched, the single most attended athletic event, I do believe, is the NASCAR or the Indy 500.
Well, attended or watched?
Yeah, I think watched is
person?
Super Bowl. Yeah,
Yes.
I think in person it's the Indy 500, and I think watched on a televised event is the Super Bowl.
It's always Super Bowl TV, yeah.
Yeah. So either way, the Super Bowl is the single largest televised event, okay? However, those millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people that are watching, really only about 30% of them are actual football aficionados that can go down the rosters, name the coach, name the starting QB, name the backup QB, who's the running back, or participate in fantasy football, okay?
Well, actually, fantasy football, I would say, uniquely has elevated it to now.
Yeah.
People who are like general fans are like, oh, hey, like they're, because I've noticed that playing fantasy football with people, I'll bring people on to play fantasy football with us, and like the first few weeks, and then by the end of the season, they're doing the same thing. They're looking up like, oh, dude, the backup quarterback, what's his name? Just hurt his shoulder. He's going to be in. But but your point is a really good point, yeah, because like as someone who's a football fan, it's kind of it's almost like a joke for amongst all sports fans when you get to like the Super Bowl or the World Series. It happens to World Series a lot. Sorry, as an aside, but because you said it brings attention people don't have. I remember there was this one pitcher in the World Series, and a journalist doesn't write about baseball, doesn't care about baseball. All of a sudden, you're asking a guy a question. It's the World Series, so you ask him, "What's it like being left-handed?" It's weird that he's like, "Well, I've been left-handed forever, and a lot of other people are left-handed." I don't know, it's not that weird, but it attracts a lot of people, like you said, who aren't baseball insiders who are just like, so ever been hit by a pitch before?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's kind of like, what are you talking? Who are these people? They're not even real fans. But yeah, so I think
So
that's
the
your
point is that just like, let's just say there's 20 million people. I'm just throwing a number out there. I don't even know what the number is that watch the Super Bowl, okay? But let's just say there's 20 million people that are tuning into the Super Bowl, okay? Really, honestly, probably about 5 million of them are aficionados. The others are like me, where I sit down and I watch the Super Bowl with my dad. He absolutely loves the Super Bowl. Oh, it's 103.5 million. Okay.
No, that was a down year for the championship game, or NFL championship game.
Okay,
which is the Super Bowl.
114
Holy
million
cow,
saw
but
the
yes.
last Super Bowl. Okay, so of the 114 million,
a lot of
honestly,
people, man.
probably about 1/3 of them are actual football aficionados.
Yeah, fans.
But sitting down watching the Super Bowl, there's a lot of wives that don't care, but they love throwing the party and they love, supporting their husband as he's yelling at the screen at the Seahawks or at the Patriots or whatever. There's a lot of kids that are watching. There's a lot of friends. There's a lot of people like me. We're all going to watch the Super Bowl with my dad. I enjoy watching it. It's a fun cultural event. Dig the commercials, the whole 9 yards. But at the end of the day, he's the aficionado that's the insider, not me. Okay? Whereas in politics, I'm the aficionado and the insider, not him. So what this boils down to is the fact that November is the Super Bowl. That's when people tune in and people will make their decisions. And the only thing that Andrew Yang has to be, okay? Sorry, I shouldn't say November is the Super Bowl. I should say the primaries are February.
February
yes.
is like the championship game, and then the
Yeah.
Super Bowl's in November. Is a good example.
So
of that.
February is the Super Bowl, okay? And the only thing Andrew Yang has to be is a strong second. He just has to be leading the pack of the JV team and be a strong second to Elizabeth Warren, so that when everybody starts tuning in, and they're like, okay, well, who should I vote for? Oh, who's the top two? Oh, Warren and this Yang Gang. Yang Gang. Sorry, Yang, not Yang Gang. I said Yang Guy and Gang together. That's hilarious.
Well, how about this? Well, I want to show you something. I think it's a good point to bring this up with you. It's a favorability as well as how notoriety for the candidates. I'm going to show you this graph, and I want you to take a look at this, kind of what you're talking about. You can see it on here. Andrew Yang actually is, according to the daily consult data, morning consult data, it's not the end of the world, but not the end of the world, not the be-all, end-all, I mean. They don't say how it is. However, you'll notice, according to them, he's closing in on Pete Buttigieg in a name recognition. Only 24% of people haven't heard of Andrew Yang. 22% haven't heard of Buttigieg. And then you see Castro at 19. So I do think you're like, as that shrinks, I would imagine his polling data to go up, because you'll also notice there's a very low percentage of unfavorable people with him. He's in the lower end of the unfavorable end here.
Yeah, he's almost the lowest, except for who's the lowest? Pete Buttigieg is the lowest.
Well, it goes down further. I guess,
Steve Bullock. Sorry, Steve Bullock's got him beat along with Michael Bennett.
Well, you also know no one knows these people.
Yeah, nobody knows who they are.
And I want to give my man John Delaney is leading in a very key stat. John Delaney leads in. John Delaney, out of everyone polled here, has the largest amount of people who have heard of him but have no opinion of him.
Yeah. So, our man John Delaney.
I think it's bad when you're running for president if a lot of people have heard you and no one I don't really think anything of him, to be honest.
I like John Delaney. So anyway, the point is, the only thing he needs to be is a strong second, so that when people say, okay, who am I going to choose between? Who are the top two? Oh, Warren or Yang. Okay, so what's Warren about? Oh, she lied about her ethnicity. Oh, she perpetuated the lie for 20 years. Oh, ooh, she plagiarized it. Oh, ooh, man. Ooh, and her tax plan's going to cripple the U.S. economy. No, I don't know about her. Okay, who's this guy? Andrew Yang. Oh, nice guy. No scandals. $1,000 a month. Wait, well, what is that? Paid for by a vow? Oh, okay, that could be interesting. Well, $1,000 a month. Yeah, that could really. Oh, the American scorecard. Oh, nuclear power. Oh, yeah, 10 times better than this Warren person. I mean, one of the blessings that Andrew Yang has, I don't know if he foresaw this, but he's put out so many positive policy proposals that whether you're a left-brained or a right-brained person, there's something for you. It's like smorgasbord. You know what I'm saying? It's like a buffet. There's something for you. So anyway, to answer your question, Blake, it looks like of the top three, it's a little incestuous because it's mostly not necessarily in the know, muggle-like fair weather fan people saying, I just, if I don't vote for Warren, I'll go for Biden. If I don't vote for Biden, I'll go for Sanders, So all of their support will kind of, like I said, or like Cody said, mold into one. And then Andrew Yang just needs to be a solid second to that one when February rolls around, and all the data shows that he does slowly but surely continue to grow in name recognition, continue to grow in polling data, continue to grow in fundraising with some very positive breakout performances that get him good press, such as his Q3 numbers, such as his Freedom Dividend giveaway during the third debate, such as his fill in the blank here of successful press he has gained over the past month. So that's what I think. Cody, am I missing anything here before we end?
No, I mean, just to get back to the general concept of where will the Biden supporters go when he drops, which we all think is inevitable, basically. And like I said, I think a lot of supporters are going to go just behind I think already a lot of that support already is just behind the party, not behind any particular candidate. Biden's the guy for now, but I think a lot of those voters are people who they're just Democrat voters. I support the party. Who's the party running out there? Running Biden out this year? Cool. Now it's not Biden, it's Warren. I'm with her. So it is going to be, honestly, it's a whole other video to get into. How can Yang kind of break down that last barrier, that last wall, and get in with the cool kids of the DNC? You know what I mean? Like, get into where those voters, the voters who just say, I supported the party supports, all of a sudden say, I'm supporting Yang now because the party's with Yang. Because
Trump didn't need the RNC.
Hey, you know who didn't have him?
Andrew Yang doesn't need the DNC.
You know who didn't have them and paid for it dearly?
Tom Steyer.
Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
In 2016.
Bernie, yeah.
So it is real, man. You do need that support.
That's true. It's a lot easier to deal with the more ethical people over the RNC than the unethical people over the DNC. So, anyway, let us know what you guys think of this video. Please make sure that you guys call in and ask us your questions. This was a great question, Blake. We got a bunch of other voicemails we're going to get to, especially on our Tuesday and Thursday night streams on Twitch. If you want to contribute to the channel, make sure you go to problemsolverpolitics.com. There's a PayPal link there. You can also purchase a hat. If you want to drop us an email too, you can also go to problemsolverpolitics.com. Drop us an email there. Anyway, we look forward to hearing you guys. This is Problem Solver Politics. We will see you in the next video.